What comes to mind when you hear the word India?
I predict that the 21st century is going to be the Indian century.
But what do foreigners really think about India?
Prime Minister Modi is the boss.
There is one player on this chessboard that hasn't come up yet, and maybe we could skate to where the puck is going.
Well, I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world.
Is India truly evolving?
But the fastest growing country, the fastest growing economy, the quickest to develop is India.
75 years since independence, the world is different. The country today has a new identity, a modern image, one it has built over time, but with echoes of a golden past.
What if India had never lost its status as the golden sparrow? Imagine a world where the richest country on earth wasn't the United States or China, but India. How might it reach that level? To understand, we need to examine history. Join us on a journey to explore the real India. Get your popcorn, turn off the lights, and sit back to watch the amazing journey of India. In the year 1600, India was known as the Golden Sparrow, a title that reflected its immense wealth and resources. At that time, India's share of the global economy stood at an impressive 24%. Fast forward to today, and that figure has dwindled to just 3% of global GDP. This stark contrast raises questions about what happened in the intervening centuries to cause such a dramatic shift. The answer lies in the arrival of the British East India Company in 1612. Over the next 2 centuries, the company gradually expanded its influence and control over vast swaths of Indian territory. Key battles and conflicts played a crucial role in cementing British control. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 marked a turning point as the East India Company defeated Siraj-ud-Daulah, the ruler of Bengal. This victory gave the British a foothold in the resource-rich eastern regions. The company's military campaigns continued, with the defeat of Tipu Sultan in 1799 opening up southern India to British rule. The Anglo-Maratha Wars, 1775 to 1818, and the Anglo-Sikh Wars, 1845 to 1849, further expanded British territories across the subcontinent. As British control tightened, so did the exploitation of India's resources. The wealth extraction reached staggering proportions, with estimates suggesting that the British Empire drained approximately $45 trillion from India during colonial rule. One of the most tragic consequences was the occurrence of famines caused by British mismanagement. The Bengal famine of 1943, for instance, resulted in millions of deaths due to the British government's policies and neglect.
রাস্তাঘাটে স্কুল থেকে আসার সময় আমাদের মতো ছোট ছোট বাচ্চা আমরা দেখতাম মানুষ মরে পড়ে আছে। এটা যে কত স্যাড, কত কি শেষে বাইরে যেতাম না আমরা। হয় রেশন কার্ড only for rich people or able people.
Brave individuals and groups fought back against British rule, laying the groundwork for the struggle for independence. Leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Subhash Chandra Bose inspired millions to join the freedom movement.
As Lord Mountbatten said, with the departure of the British forces, the outward and visible sign of British rule in India disappears, and its place is taken by something much more valuable. A really great friendship between the British and the Indian.
Finally, on August 15, 1947, India gained its independence. The nation stood at the threshold of a new era, facing the monumental task of rebuilding its economy, uniting its diverse population, and reclaiming its place on the world stage. The journey from the golden sparrow to a fledgling independent nation had been long and painful, but India was ready to write a new chapter in its history.
The freedom to burn, loot and murder. While Delhi and Karachi were celebrating, central Punjab was burning.
Imagine inheriting a nation fractured by partition, crippled by economic drain, and struggling with widespread poverty. How do you even begin to rebuild? Despite these challenges, India's early leaders, particularly Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, had a vision for the future. Nehru, as India's first prime minister, championed a socialist-inspired economic model focused on rapid industrialization and self-reliance. Patel, known as the Iron Man of India, took on the monumental task of integrating over 560 princely states into the Indian Union, laying the foundation for a unified nation. Uniting such a diverse population was no small feat. Despite these challenges, India made steady progress in several areas.
He was that mechanization is good where hands are too few, but an evil where there are more hands than are required for the work, as is the case in India.
India also built a strong foundation in science and technology, establishing premier institutions like the Indian Institutes of Technology. By the late 1980s, however, India's economic model was showing signs of strain. A balance of payments crisis in 1991 pushed the country to the brink of default. This crisis became the catalyst for transformative change. Under Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Manmohan Singh, India embarked on a series of bold economic reforms. The government dismantled the license Raj, opened up various sectors to foreign investment, and initiated a process of privatization. These reforms marked a significant shift away from the socialist-inspired policies of the past towards a more market-oriented economy. The impact of liberalization was swift and far-reaching. Foreign investment poured in, and Indian companies found new opportunities in the global market. The IT and outsourcing industries, in particular, experienced explosive growth. Cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad transformed into tech hubs, earning nicknames like India's Silicon Valley. As India's economy expanded, a new urban middle class emerged. Consumer goods became more readily available, and lifestyle aspirations changed. Major cities saw rapid development, with gleaming office towers and shopping malls springing up alongside traditional markets and historic monuments. India's economic transformation set the stage for its emergence as a global player. The next chapter in India's story promises to be just as compelling as its past. Imagine waking up to find that 86% of your country's currency had been rendered worthless overnight.
That the 500 rupee and 1000 rupee currency notes presently in use will no longer be legal tender from midnight to night.
This was just the beginning of a new chapter in India's economic story, one that would test the resilience of its people and the wisdom of its leaders.
India's Prime Minister makes the impossible possible.
He is very conscious of his image in history.
Some view him as the most effective Prime Minister in the history of India.
At the center of this transformation stood Narendra Modi, built on the promise of replicating
the Gujarat success story, as he puts it, at the national level. Because Gujarat has turned out to be one of India's richest states. Investors just love it.
And after that, actually, there was no stopping him to become the leader of the BJP and ran an extraordinary campaign for the 2014 parliamentary election.
We are calling the election. Modi will be the next Prime Minister.
Modi's ascent was built on the promise of replicating the Gujarat model, a development approach he implemented as Chief Minister of Gujarat State, This model emphasized business-friendly policies, infrastructure development, and streamlined bureaucracy to attract investment and spur economic growth. Once in power, Modi launched a series of ambitious economic initiatives. The Make in India program aimed to transform the country into a global manufacturing hub, while Digital India sought to connect rural areas to the internet and expand e-governance. Perhaps most controversial was the sudden demonetization of high-value currency notes in 2016, a move intended to combat black money and corruption, but which caused significant short-term economic disruption. Another major reform was the introduction of the Goods and Services Tax, GST, in 2017, which replaced a complex system of state-level taxes with a unified national tax structure. While implementation was initially rocky, the GST has since helped to create a more integrated national market and improve tax compliance. Under Modi's leadership, India's global standing has improved in several key areas. The country's ease of doing business ranking jumped from 142nd in 2014 to 63rd in 2020. Foreign direct investment has increased substantially, and India has become the world's fifth largest economy by nominal GDP.
India is now the fastest growing major economy in the world, with an increasingly influential global voice.
As India grapples with these economic challenges, it's also experiencing a surge in cultural influence on the global stage.
Now, if you switch on the television today, log on to social media, step out to parks, wellness centers, or gymnasiums, you see someone performing an asana or a yoga posture. Celebrities, politicians, policymakers, global leaders are all practicing yoga.
Yoga and Ayurveda, ancient Indian practices, have gained worldwide popularity as tools for physical and mental well-being. The global yoga market was valued at $37.5 billion in 2019 and is projected to reach $66.2 billion by 2027. Indian cinema, particularly Bollywood and regional film industries like Tollywood, have also seen growing international appeal. Films like
All right, are you guys ready? Ooh, RRR!
and The Elephant Whisperers have won prestigious awards.
And the Oscar goes to The Elephant Whisperers,
bringing Indian storytelling to global audiences. In the world of sports, India's dominance in cricket has helped spread the game's popularity.
We are thrilled to welcome the world's second most popular sport. Take my friend here, Virat. He's the third most followed athlete in the world on social media with 314 million followers. That's more than LeBron James, Tom Brady, and Tiger Woods combined.
The Indian Premier League, IPL, has become one of the most watched sports leagues globally, attracting top international talent and generating billions in revenue. The success of Indian-origin CEOs and entrepreneurs in global tech companies has further boosted India's soft power. Leaders like Sundar Pichai at Google, Satya Nadella at Microsoft, and Shantanu Narayan at Adobe have become prominent figures in the global business landscape, inspiring a new generation of Indian innovators. As India continues to export its culture and ideas to the world, the economic impact of this soft power is becoming increasingly evident. As we look to the future, The interplay between India's economic ambitions and cultural influence promises to shape not just the nation's trajectory, but the world's as well. India's diversity isn't just cultural. It's woven into the very fabric of its landscapes, from the snow-capped Himalayas to the sun-soaked beaches of Goa. But how does this incredible diversity shape India's future on the global stage? The country's natural wonders span an impressive range of ecosystems. In the north, the Himalayan mountains form a formidable barrier, home to rare species like the snow leopard and red panda. Moving south, the vast Thar Desert in Rajasthan gives way to the lush Western Ghats, a biodiversity hotspot teeming with unique flora and fauna. The eastern coastline boasts the Sundarbans, the world's largest mangrove forest and a crucial habitat for the Bengal tiger. This natural diversity is mirrored in India's spiritual landscape. The country is the birthplace of 4 major world religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. Sacred sites dot the land, from the ancient temples of Varanasi on the banks of the Ganges to the Golden Temple in Amritsar. These spiritual traditions continue to shape modern Indian society, influencing everything from daily rituals to national politics. Yet alongside its ancient traditions, a modern India is rapidly emerging. The country's tech ecosystem is booming, with startups in cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad attracting global investment. India's space program has achieved remarkable milestones.
Making it to Mars is a huge achievement for any space agency. And by putting a probe into orbit, the Indian Space Agency has become part of an elite group of space explorers.
India just became the 4th nation to successfully land a spacecraft on the moon, but India is the only country that has ever landed near the moon's south pole, and that's significant.
Everywhere you go in India, on every street, at every food stall, a revolution is underway.
The government's push for digital transformation is reshaping how citizens interact with public services.
So it's very simple. Whether it's Paytm, Google Pay, Phone Pay, anything, they can scan and they just pay.
There's no need to carry your money anymore. Your money is in the bank, so you can pay directly through that. I mean, it's very safe, I feel.
The Aadhaar biometric identification system, now covering over 1.3 billion people, is the world's largest such program. India is also making strides in emerging technologies, with ambitious plans for quantum computing and artificial intelligence research. However, on the global stage, India's strategic importance is growing. The country is a key member of international groups like BRICS and the Quad, reflecting its increasing diplomatic clout. India's role in addressing global issues like climate change is becoming more prominent, with the country setting ambitious renewable energy targets. The COVID-19 pandemic showcased India's potential as a global manufacturing hub, particularly in pharmaceuticals. The country's vaccine diplomacy, supplying millions of doses to other nations, further cemented its position as a key player in global health initiatives. India can continue to evolve as a major player on the world stage. The coming decades will reveal how India's story unfolds and its impact on the global landscape.